What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro The Black Series Anakin Skywalker from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Along with his counterpart, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin in this particular look has been one of the most highly requested redos for the Black Series line, and I'm really happy that here in 2025, for the 20th anniversary for Revenge of the Sith, we finally get to see an updated version of this character. I picked up Anakin Skywalker through a pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store. That's the place that I go to for most of my action figure orders and pre-orders. They're a great small business here in the United States, and they're a great action figure retailer online. I highly recommend checking them out. Anakin's a mainline release for the Black Series here in 2025, meaning you can get him at most of your major retailers. He also comes in the standard packaging for the line here in 2025. On the front of the box here, we have the Black Series logo, a big plastic window showing you the figure, and his accessory. We have over here the character name in vertical text, as well as that he is number 5 in the Revenge of the Sith subline. Down below the window, we have in this kind of orangey brown color here, the color that represents the Revenge of the Sith subline, as well as the name of the movie, and some logos and legalese down at the bottom. On this side of the box, we have our mural art, which shows us Anakin with the Mustafar mining facility behind him there. He has an awesome likeness on this art here, character name down at the bottom. On the back of the box, a lot of the stuff that we've seen on the other sides of the packaging, such as the Black Series logo, the same mural image we saw on the side of the box blown up a bit, the character name, and a bio in about 1,000 different languages. This bio reads, Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, turns to the dark side and battles Obi-Wan Kenobi in a lightsaber duel on the lava planet Mustafar. We reiterate, he is number 5 for the Revenge of the Sith subline. Down below that, we have all our legalese. Guys, please don't feed this action figure to your babies. On this side of the box, we have our wraparound window, wraparound banner, and Black Series logo. On the bottom of the box, even more legalese, and on the top, nothing. That about wraps it up for the packaging, so let's get this guy opened and we'll check him out. Alright guys, here's Anakin out of the box. Before we take a look at the figure, let's of course take a look at his one accessory he comes with, that being his iconic lightsaber. So, this lightsaber here is done pretty nicely. It is in a nice silver painted sculpt here with some black at the base of the hilt there. You get some gold as well as some red there too. There is a sculpted peg which does attach to a peg hole on the belt. We will take a look at that later, how that works. And then we have a nice dark blue vibrant lightsaber blade. I've been really enjoying seeing the much more vibrant colors on the lightsaber blades lately as opposed to the more pale colors. I think these just pop a lot more on the shelf. And of course we do also have the ability for the lightsaber blade to be removed from the hilt, and that's what those look like separated there. Alright, let's take a closer look at Anakin Skywalker. So this is the exact same figure that came in the San Diego Comic-Con 2025 set from earlier this year, the Anakin vs. Obi-Wan set. So this figure just lacks some of the extra accessories that figure had, and as far as the base figure though, it's the exact same figure. We'll start off here by taking a look at Anakin's likeness. Now, the likeness is pretty good. It's definitely the best Revenge of the Sith Anakin likeness that I've seen in the Black Series so far, or honestly, I think it's better than the SH Figuarts version too. It doesn't look exactly like Hayden Christensen, but I think that comes more from the paint apps here and less from the sculpting. I think the sculpt work is pretty magnificent, especially that like side profile here. I think that's very, very well done. He does, I don't think he has a wash in the hair, but the hair does a great job of catching the light really, really nicely to give you some nice textured detail there. You do also have his scar accurately painted covering that right eye. The eyes look nice, the eyebrows look good. He does have some paint around the lips as well. The paint on the lips looks a little dark to me. It might just be my personal preference when it comes to these figures, but I like when this is a little more subtle just because I feel like it takes away from the look of the face. But aside from that, again, it's a pretty solid Anakin likeness. As for Anakin's Jedi robes are a lot more complex and detailed than your average Jedi robes from the prequel trilogy. His outer tunics are on a separate overlay, and you can see they actually do come down a little bit here, and it does do the same thing on the back. These are done in a nice, very malleable plastic here, which should move out of the way nicely for posing. And then underneath the black outer tunic, we have a very dark brown under tunic here, and then underneath that, we have a little bit of a more chocolate brown here painted underneath, so that's like another layer underneath this layer here. These sleeves are sculpted really nicely as well. You can see he's got those nice baggy sleeves down by the cuffs. And then of course on that right arm he has his glove that covers his droid arm there. So it's got the buckles that are all painted in silver, and then the straps for the buckles are all painted in black. So that again adds to the visual appeal of Anakin. You'll see obviously as well that he does have a gloved hand covering up that right hand there. This is a C gripping hand. And you see he has another almost trigger finger hand here, but it is posed like a C gripping hand for the exposed flesh hand. Anakin's also got some really nice detail here at the belt. So the belt itself is sculpted in a dark brown plastic, but you have some paint for the buckle. These little cartridges here are painted too, and then a lot of the other pieces are just done in that dark brown there, which is accurate to how the character looks in the movie. And again, we can see that peg hole there for where the lightsaber hilt goes in. The belt and the pieces of the outer tunic underneath it are all a different overlay than what you have here for the torso here, and these are again very malleable pieces of plastic here. You can see there's two different layers of them for the dark brown and the black, and that'll be the same thing for the back here, except the brown one is just one solid piece for the back half there. Great that they do this. In theory it's going to work to help give this guy more articulation range with the hips, and it won't hinder the articulation so much. Underneath all the tunics and tabards and everything like that, we do just have basic detail for the pants here. This kind of stuff is completely fine to me. From the opening sequence to the Jedi Temple scenes to even the March on the Jedi Temple, Anakin really does have clean Jedi robes up until the very end on Mustafar, so him being clean here with no weathering or wash is completely fine to me. And then at the boots, we actually have some really subtle detail that I think was done really nicely. If you take a look here, you can see some lighter brown that goes over the base darker, more dull looking brown of the boots here. And I thought that was a really nice touch. It's something I didn't even expect, considering Black Series has been, you know, a little skimpy sometimes on the paint applications. I do think that this is a good added detail here, just as some more visual appeal for the figure. But aside from that, the bottoms of the boots don't have any paint to them whatsoever, just your basic detail. Overall, I think the look and presentation of this figure is absolutely awesome. But what's really cool too is how well this figure articulates, so let's talk about that next. So one of the biggest things about a newly tooled, newly sculpted Anakin is that you get a lot of the latest and greatest articulation for the Black Series line. We'll start up here at the head. He does have the barbell jointed neck. So he's got a barbell joint that goes up into the head and then an additional ball joint down at the base of the neck. So you're going to get lots and lots of range out of that neck there. Anakin can look down a decent amount, and even with the hair being sculpted and then also the overlay having that collar piece there, you can still get him to look up a little bit, which is good. Not terribly much, but if you really work it there, you can get him to look up, and that's a good thing considering how much is working against the articulation there. You can get some nice tilt for some attitude there, as well as your right and your left. As far as the shoulders, if you move the overlay down, you can actually see them exposed. We have some nice butterfly joints there built into the torso, and you can see you can get some seriously nice forward and back out of those, and the overlay does a great job of moving itself out of the way to assist that. The shoulders also feature a hinge and swivel, so you're going to get a hinge which gets you to just about the 90-degree mark, maybe a hair more, which is really good for Black Series, and then there's that swivel which gets you the full 360 degrees, and again that overlay moves itself right out of the way for that movement. He does have some deep cut single jointed elbows. Those are going to get you to well past that 90-degree mark, which is awesome, as well as a swivel at the top of the elbow there. And then at the wrists, we have two different setups for the wrists here. So at the right arm, the droid arm, we have just the roly-poly wrist, which is a ball jointed wrist, and that's going to give you some great range of motion in any direction rather than limiting you like the hinged wrists do. And then on the left arm here, very similar to the new Obi-Wan figure, you can see that there is an exposed forearm flesh tone sculpt up in the sleeve there, and that is its own piece that has its own ball joint that goes into about midway through the forearm here, and that gives you, and you can see I'm trying not to move the wrist while I do this, you get plenty of extra range here inside the sleeve on top of your ball jointed wrist. So you're going to be able to really get, now that I'm moving the wrist here, plenty of movement here with both of those pieces added, and I think it's really cool they're doing that. We also have a ball joint at the waist. You can see the overlays do not hinder that movement at all, which is awesome. This being a Jedi figure and how acrobatic Anakin is in his lightsaber duels, we definitely want the more movement the better. Moving up the tabards here, we do have a ball joint at the hip here, which has plenty of range even with all the overlays covering it. You can see they do a great job of moving themselves right out of the way. They did omit, and they are doing this a lot with with the newer Black Series figures, they did omit the thigh swivel cut. However, this is an adjusted hip joint on these new figures, so you can still get a nice in and out on the ball joint on that hip. So that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to take. We do have deep cut single jointed knees on the figure here. Those get you to just about the 90-degree mark, maybe a hair more. And we do have a swivel at the top of the knee. Where Anakin lacks thigh swivel, he does have boot swivel, and the boot swivel is going to do a great job of just really helping us to have those wider poses here to help bring the toes facing out so that it doesn't look like he has to do the pee-pee dance every time we go to pose the figure. And then Anakin has the Hasbro Classic with the forward-facing pin for rocker with a hinge that gets you some decent forward and some really nice back as well. So overall, this is the standard articulation scheme for Black Series figures here in 2025, and honestly, it's a good scheme at that. I think that it's a very natural looking one too. So before we get Anakin with lightsaber in hand, I want to show you what he looks like with the hilt on the belt that connects with that peg system there, and it passes the shake test no problem. You can see it's a very nice natural look, and you can kind of move it forward or back depending on how you want him posed. But again, really nice look here. Doesn't look too bulky or awkward on the figure. However, it's Anakin Skywalker. We are not going to subdue him to just having his lightsaber on his belt. He's got to have that lightsaber blade in the hilt. And I do just want to show off, there is a little indent right on the end of the lightsaber blade there. So it does actually have a correct way, quote unquote, that matches up with the hilt. And then we'll get that into the right hand because most Jedi cross draw their lightsabers. Even Anakin, even though he becomes Darth Vader in this outfit, I do think it's worth mentioning he still cross draws the saber. So this looks nice in the right hand, and it does pass the shake test as well. Here's Anakin in a nice mid-stride pose. I imagine he's making his march somewhere in the Jedi Temple, or he's stalking Obi-Wan on Mustafar as they're battling it out. The butterfly joints and added articulation on this figure make it so that you can get him into some crazy two-handed lightsaber holding poses, like one of these most iconic promo photos for the Revenge of the Sith with Anakin. I always remembered this one as a kid, where he had the saber behind his head, and it's great that you can get the figure into this pose and it doesn't look ridiculous. And here I've got Anakin in a one-legged pose, getting ready to make a downward strike on an unsuspecting Jedi inside the temple. And just for size comparison's sake, on the left here I have the Clone Commander Appo from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and on the right I have the single-carded Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith. All these figures scale really well together, and I think they would look great on a shelf together. And just for another comparison here, on the left I have the Archive Collection version of this same look for Anakin Skywalker, and if this doesn't show you how many leaps and bounds the Black Series has made since the beginning of the line, I think that you're blind, because this is such a night and day difference. This figure can get into so many poses that the old one can't. The likeness looks better. He actually looks like a person and not a vampire in this new figure, so I am a big fan of how many improvements have been made on this latest version of Anakin Skywalker. But with that, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for my review of Anakin here. Like I just got done saying, this is a massive, definitive upgrade to the original Anakin Skywalker figure. The articulation is better, the looks are better. This is just such a better figure overall, and for such an iconic look for an iconic character, as a prequel kid, as a Clone Wars kid, I can't ask for much more. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do here on YouTube, or you'd like to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. It gives you access to exclusive badges and priority replies in my comment section, and you get to vote on what I review next for the channel, as well as seeing all my reviews early. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. Squad 2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?